Welcome to this comprehensive overview of World War I. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the causes, major battles, key players, and aftermath of the Great War. Let's get started. Causes of the war. The roots of World War I can be traced back to the late 19th century, when European nations were competing for colonial power and influence. Nationalism was on the rise, as was the arms race, as countries built up their militaries to protect their interests. In 1914, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary by a Serbian nationalist sparked a chain reaction of events that led to the outbreak of war. The complex system of alliances that had been established between European nations also played a significant role in the escalation of the conflict. The major players, the major powers involved in World War I, were divided into two alliances: the Central Powers and the Allies. The Central Powers consisted of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, while the Allies included Great Britain, France, Russia, and eventually, the United States. Leaders such as Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and Prime Minister David Lloyd George of Great Britain played key roles in the war effort and the peace negotiations that followed. The Western Front. The Western Front was the main theater of war during World War I, stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border. The fighting here was characterized by trench warfare, with soldiers digging into the ground and fighting from behind fortifications. The battles of the Marne, Ypres, Verdun, and the Somme were some of the bloodiest and most iconic battles of the war. Millions of soldiers were killed or injured in these battles, and the landscape was scarred by craters, barbed wire, and trenches. New technologies like poison gas, tanks, and aircraft were also introduced during this period. These innovations had a significant impact on the outcome of the war and changed the nature of warfare forever. The Eastern Front. The Eastern Front was the theater of war between Russia and the Central Powers. The Russian army suffered major defeats at Tannenberg and the Masurian Lakes, and the war became increasingly unpopular in Russia, leading to the Russian Revolution and the withdrawal of Russia from the war. The Central Powers were able to focus their efforts on the Western Front after Russia's withdrawal, which put additional pressure on the Allies. The war at sea. Naval warfare was an important aspect of World War I, with the British Navy dominating the seas. The Germans tried to challenge British naval supremacy with submarine warfare, which led to the sinking of several ships, including the Lusitania, a passenger liner that was carrying American passengers. This event was one of the factors that led to the entry of the United States into the war. The naval blockade of Germany also had a significant impact on the war effort, as it restricted the flow of food and supplies to the country and led to widespread starvation and suffering. The home front. Total war meant that civilians were also affected by the conflict. Governments used propaganda and censorship to control public opinion and boost morale. Women's suffrage movements gained momentum as women took on new roles in society to support the war effort. In addition to the psychological and social impact of the war, there were also significant economic consequences. The war led to inflation, debt, and disrupted trade, which had a lasting impact on the global economy. The end of the war. As the war dragged on, it became clear that neither side was able to achieve a decisive victory. In 1917, the United States entered the war on the side of the Allies, which helped to tip the balance in their favor. The final year of the war saw a series of offensives by the Allies, which gradually pushed back the Central Powers. In November 1918, Germany signed the Armistice of Compiègne, which ended the fighting on the Western Front. The Treaty of Versailles and the aftermath. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war and imposed harsh terms on Germany, including significant territorial and economic concessions. The treaty also established the League of Nations, an international organization aimed at promoting peace and cooperation. However, the harsh terms of the treaty and the economic turmoil that followed created a sense of resentment in Germany, which paved the way for the rise of the Nazi Party and the onset of World War II. In conclusion, World War I was a devastating conflict that reshaped the world and had far-reaching consequences. From the causes of the war to the major battles, key players, and aftermath, we have covered the most important aspects of this historical event. The impact of World War I is still felt today, and it serves as a reminder of the cost of war and the importance of working towards peace and cooperation between nations. Thank you for watching, and we hope that this video has helped you gain a deeper understanding of the Great War.